Greetings, people, anyone and everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope this video finds you well. This is gonna be a strange video because I did this on purpose. I was actually looking for some footage that I could use to explain my story in English. And the first part of this audio, of this video, is gonna be explaining why I'm doing this in English. And it's really peculiar because I had an accident. I had a cardiovascular accident. No, gordita. And I lost my speech. I have aphasia. I actually have a graphia. I don't know if, I think it's the correct way to say it both in Spanish and English, which is agraphia and aphasia. So after the stroke, I had to go to therapy. I hate that word. I had to go to rehab. That's even worse. But to speech rehab, and it was really interesting because something happens in your brain. The zone, the area that's affected is called Broca. It's named after the guy who discovered that area in the brain, and it controls mainly speech. And this happened to my left side, and I lost all speech. It was really impressive. And the reason I mentioned agraphia is that I actually wasn't able to call or to dial 911 when this happened. It was really bad. It was instantly. It was at 4 a.m. And it's quite a story by itself. After the hospital, they told me I wasn't going to be able to cut my own meat, that I was going to be dependable of others, right? All of my life. And I said, fuck you, you know, I got God, I got my studies in psychology, I'm an architect. And I was gonna heal myself. And I did, I did. I fucking did. I did it through psychedelics, especially mushrooms, a specific kind of mushrooms. And I've been trying to share my story, and this is also why I'm doing this in English. In Mexico, even though we have all this connection and all this expertise, because we actually have a cultural background on the subject, and not just that. When I was young, man, it was the 2000, maybe 21. Nah, no, what the fuck am I saying? It was 2000, 01, 2002, maybe. And I was studying psychology, and we were researching heavily on psychedelic substances and the result it has on brain's plasticity. I grew up with childhood PTSD, and actually at the time I was a fucking drunk, and I'm not talking about a heavy motherfucker, a drunk anarchist. I was really special guy. I am a really special motherfucker, but I had childhood PTSD, and I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day and whatnot. But my main problem back then was alcohol. I was still very young. It was gonna get worse, but the thing is that I don't do any drugs at all. I'm actually really clean. I'm clean. And nowadays I'm gonna say this. I drink maybe 6 beers. Nah, that's too much. Every 2 or 3 months, I drink really. I don't really care about being drunk anymore. It's just kind of boring for me. But it was a path. No, it was a path after the stroke. I had to recover speech. I had to recover. I actually had to learn the fucking alphabet because when you have the stroke, all this information goes backwards. It just kind of flips sides, and you can't access it anymore, man. It's really interesting, but it's almost like a mirror. Like all the information is just backwards, so you can't access it. You can't do anything, man. So yeah, it was a long path. I did this by myself. I'm a survivor of psychopathic and narcissist parents. Actually, my sister is pretty bad. She fucking sucks ass. She bought herself architect diploma or degree, but she bought it. And my family been stealing from me for years and years. Man, I think this story is very important. But since I had childhood PTSD, I was working a lot. I was drinking a lot. I was partying a lot, and I was a fucking rebel. And I was dealing with my parents who were just fucking abusive, and in a really weird way. It got worse when I started making money. There's a lot of things I never realized until I was making money. Cause having narcissist parents it's a weird story. Cause it's like having kids as parents. They're really immature, so they will lie, they will deceive, they will talk down on you. They will do all these immature things, but they're your parents. Like they really don't. They can't see what they're doing, and it is really sad because some people call them absent parents because it's hard to tell they're that sick. They are just kind of absent. They're really involved in their own lives, in their own money, in their own success. So you don't see these things until you are older. When you're younger, it just kind of happens. No, life happens for you, and that's it. You have no idea why you're such a drunk ass fucker, man. And why no one tells you that that it's gonna fuck you up eventually. So it's a path. Having narcissist parents is not many people realize what it involves. Because first of all, you have a bond trauma, and that bond is not just sacred. It involves a lot of feelings. Because even if your parents hit you when you're in a really young age, you're gonna want to go back to them. And I'm 44 years old at the time I'm making this video, and fuck, man, I love my parents. I love them so much. I tried to heal them for years and years, and it's really weird because most people will tell you that's the worst thing you can do. Like you gotta let them go, and you have to do no contact, and there's a process to it, and you're gonna have to go through legal matters, and there's one second, I'm gonna pause this. Okay, so I had to pause for a second. My beautiful Thea is doing her job. And actually, I had that same camera that you're looking at. I had it turned off, and she just kind of let me know. So there, man, I'm eating a hamburger. That the liver guy was amazing. Those hamburgers are called CHIDO JUAN. So I was telling the guy CHIDO JUAN. In Mexico, it's just kind of like a phrase. It's like a cool dude phrase. Kind of, yeah, it means the same. And they're amazing. Those fucking hamburgers, man. They're actually my favorite after that day. That was the first time I ever tried those burgers. So I'm gonna recap and just gonna um, keep on explaining the situation. So yeah, it is a trip growing up with narcissist parents, being a rebel. It is it's a lot of responsibility. Most people in my case, they just die. You commit suicide. It's too much. It gets really, really bad. Um, and sometimes their parents, or not or every time, the parents don't really acknowledge they're all that bad, all that bad until they feel the consequences. And most of the time, and especially growing up, you feel that you are the problem, not your parents. Never your parents. You start hating yourself. You start killing yourself. That's why you. That's why childhood PTSD is actually it's a tool that narcissist parents use to control, to exert total control over your life, because that is pretty much the trauma bond, and it's really hard to escape from it because you gotta make a lot of things conscious, and it's not easy. It's never easy. Um, you gotta cry a lot. You gotta spend a lot of time alone. You gotta depart in a very young age, do your own stuff. So, so I was making money when I was 21. I started building houses. I was studying psychology, and I got into a drawing course, just drawing. They were teaching CATIA at the time and AutoCAD. And I got into that shit, man. I loved it. I loved drawing. And I was still a fucking addict, a punk rocker, about to become a psychedelic, part of the psychedelic movement, world movement. Because I love that shit. I love drum and bass. But after punk and punk ska and so on, and some hardcore, black metal, death metal, and I love music. It's I don't wanna sound like I'm stuck into one genre, but politically I am an anarchist. So I was making money, and I didn't realize I was making money. And I wasn't getting money from my parents, so I was just uh, painting houses and doing extra work, cutting grass. I was that kind of guy, and I was really weird because people could tell I was a good person, man. Even though I was always high, people knew I was an honest person. You know, I never stole, I never lied. I wasn't that kind of guy. Um, my story is hard. It's I was in my first induced coma for 7 days when I was 23, maybe. That changed my life. I was studying law and architecture, and well, it's a long story, but and this is not the main purpose of this video, though I'm gonna do that eventually. I I I thought this video was gonna be long enough to tell my story, but it's not gonna be. It's gonna be an opportunity to express myself in English, and kind of an introduction to what's going on. So that house, that white house, is my house, my parents' house. It's fucking humongous, and I live here by myself. I It has not always been that way. I tried living with a couple, well, especially with one Russian girl whose name was Olga. She was way younger than me, and that wasn't a bad thing. She was so fucking smart, man. She was something else, but it just didn't work out. And she was actually okay. So she confessed that she was having some mental issues, and I, like my mother, I tried to help her through sacred medicine. I think she was doing better. I actually dropped her. I saw her leave. I talked to her parents and I made them buy a ticket for her so she could go back to Russia. She wasn't actually Russian. She was from shit. Um, okay, she wasn't Russian, but she was pretty much Russian. And I don't know why I forgot the name. Yeah, of the conflict, but she wasn't Russian. I have I have dyslexia, so I have a new neurodivergent brain. I actually think with images. I can process a lot of images, most than most people can, a second, and it's just the way I'm built. Through images, through music, through art, I can communicate who I am better. I love inline skating. I actually do a lot of sports. I did football, basketball, volleyball. I play paddle. I play high alai, and I do tai chi, yoga. I've tried on a lot of shit, but it's really weird because growing up with childhood uh, PTSD, it's kind of weird, man. And then eventually it became complex PTSD, which I don't even think I'm struggling with it anymore, man. I'm doing just fine, man. In many ways, I'm just a fucking miracle, man. I'm healthy in my mind and in my body. I I believe in love. I'm demisexual, and I'm that guy. I'm that motherfucker. I am that motherfucker, man. I'm gonna say it this way. I'm that beaner. Because I can't use the N word. But I can do it like that. I am that beaner, man. And I am dangerous as fuck. But I'm righteous as fuck as well. Maybe that's why I'm so dangerous. Um, Actually, why I was standing there eating my hamburger is that in front of me there's a French fucker that's almost 2 meters tall. You can't see him, but he is right in front of me. And I was eating my hamburger because that fucker was trying to hurt me. They have a lot of money, man. And he hates my ass so bad. He is racist and elitist, and I'm not someone that keeps his mouth shut. So I was standing there eating my hamburger, minding my own business, as that fucker was standing in front of me. And I decided I was going to do eventually this video. So take care, people. You were gonna hear from me a lot more. We're gonna talk about philosophy, architecture, tarot, and God. God bless you all, and thanks for listening.